Well, here we are, day whatever it is of, I guess this is part 3 of Don't Try This at Home, Kids. Well, we had quite the snow event here yesterday, very heavy, wet, and it's melting now. It's not very warm out, but at least it's melting. So where we ended last time, I was sweating my butt off trying to get that little sucker fit in there, but we got her in. We got mostly secured. Just got to kind of trim up here over this one fender and make sure that that is caulked and sealed properly so the cows don't cut themselves on it. In the shop working on the diamond plate for this side, so let's go take a look and I'll show you what I've got done so far. It's not a heated shop, but at least it's undercover. So here we are so far. This is the 4x10 foot sheet that I got of the, I don't even know what size this is. This 1/8 inch thickness, probably aluminum diamond plate. I made my measurements based off of the side that I got to fit this in and then double check them against the ones I already did. Made some relief cuts, marked out where I need to bend it. It would be nice if I had an actual bending machine like the guys that do siding and stuff like that and finishing up roofing have, but this is what I'm doing. So I'm just using a piece of old Trex that just happens to be almost the length of this side here. This piece that I have cut, this is already bent up. This is where the fender is going to be. So now I just got this one over here was shorter, and that was a bear just trying to get that bent. So now we got to bend this one up into place, and then I got another mark that's 22 inches from here over to here. If you can see the black line, that's the bottom of the head gate feeder tray, if you will, or the feed area. So that one's going to be quite a bit harder to bend since I'm doing everything by hand and it's not a short piece. So, well, I guess we'll have to continue bending and see what we end up with. Well, it wasn't easy, but I've got it in most of the way. Bending this without having an actual metal brake is more than challenging and rates right up there with probably my stupidity of trying to attempt this by myself without having done this before. But the reason we have this extra length here on the top piece is because, just like in the old piece, we're going to overlap it. So it overlaps this seam here and it'll shed the water. This is already collecting water, so we've obviously got it sealed up good here at the corner, which really we don't want. There are weep holes that are on both sides, but it looks like we may end up having to put some in the corner here too as well, because we don't want this to roach out this steel on the inside. I mean, I could sand it down and spray it with rubberized undercoating and stuff like that, but then it'll end up wearing off and probably get into the cow's feed. So we'll just make sure that it drains well so we don't have to go through this again in a couple of years. But anyway, I think this is probably going to be the last ditch effort to save this little stubby head gate feeder. We're gonna have to start saving up so we can afford a new one here in a couple of years. Well, this side went in a little bit easier than the other side did, and I've got it fairly secured, got it riveted up underneath this lip down along the sides. I got this bent over the tire well. I have to secure it and then seal this up. But right now I'm working on getting this upper flap bent over the top so that it'll shed the weather like it was originally made. So I've got probably about a 3 or 4 inch overlap along here. I'm hammering it over the top. Not going to put any screws into it. There are screws on the back side here, which I recommend you put them in first. It makes it easier so you get a better bend right down across the spine here. And obviously as few screws or holes in that part of the head gate feeder as possible to keep weather out. You got to work your way up probably about 3 foot, 4 foot past, and work your way back. I'm using one of these dead blow hammers. It's a sledgehammer. That way it doesn't really mess up the metal any more than absolutely necessary. Like if you're using a regular sledgehammer, be nicking it up and probably even scrape it or tear the aluminum. I'm just going to work my way right down the rest of the spine here, get it bent over, and then probably have to notch that out with the grinder so that it fits and make sure that there's no sharp edges that the cows are going to get their tongues or lips stuck on. And then we'll be ready to grab that, hang it from the loader, and we'll start welding it back on, and we're getting closer to completion. Well, it looks like there's going to end up having to be a "Don't try this at home, kids" part 4, because part 3, well, we're done. Yeah, you can see from the skies, and maybe here in the background, we got water. At least it's not snow. It's raining a little bit now, but obviously any rain will inhibit me getting that put back on there and welded up. But I did get all the diamond plate in, everything cut, shaped, secured, seams caulked, and hopefully we'll get a couple more years out of this. I have a feeling that if we get 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the aluminum should last forever. That won't rust. The rest of the steel, well, that's why we're putting this aluminum liner in it. We'll have to see how long it lasts, and if this weather ever breaks, hopefully before spring, we'll be able to get that front welded back on there. Hopefully tomorrow. We shall see. Pray for sunshine, and we'll see you next time right here